RIP to all the real niggas worldwide.
Welcome to another episode of the Real and Unapologetic Podcast. I'm one of the hosts, Unapologetic Reef, joined with my cousin, your boy,
the Real C.
Yes, and we're back. And for a while, man, we haven't had our boy CJ on, but this topic right here is a hot topic. That's what, I like to call it a hot topic. And we got CJ back on. Say what's up, C. You know what I mean? To the people, man.
What's going on, man? Back again, man. Back again. I feel like I'm fighting to get back on here to say my point of view.
Nah, we want you. We want you back. We always want you. We always welcome your opinion, man. It's great though. It's great to have you. So yeah. So the topic today, man. What was robbed must be repaid. Now listen to that topic. CJ, what do you feel about that? What was robbed? What's the first thing that come to your mind?
Well, I mean, when we talk about what was robbed must be repaid, the first thing that comes to my mind is slavery, especially if it's regarding reparations. That's the main thing that comes to my mind. And the second thing is the wealth that this country acquired from the free labor. And then the third thing that comes to mind is the other racial groups that decided to leave or flee their other countries to come to a country for its resources because of the free slave labor. And then the fourth thing would be the fact that everyone was paid reparations when they were done wrong by the United States. Not only that, the United States even allocated reparations to a war for people that suffered from a war that the United States had nothing to do with. Specifically, what I'm talking about is when I think about the Holocaust. Barack Obama allocated resources, not only resources, but reparations to the last survivors of the Holocaust. And the United States had nothing to do with that. So if you can pay reparations to people who suffered from the war that the United States had nothing to do with, and also pay reparations to other racial groups, you can definitely pay reparations to the Black people who are responsible for building the wealth of this country. And it's also argued that this is actually our land, that we are indigenous to this land and not the stereotypical Indian, but that's another conversation.
Nah, that's all. That's real. That's all in the same conversation. So you don't think Black Americans really ever had a chance to create our wealth?
Actually, we did, but it was taken from us. So the difference between Black Americans and other racial groups is that nobody, absolutely nobody has had the same experience that we have had. Nobody was taken and brought here or was enslaved in their own land and made to build the wealth of the United States, the biggest superpower damn near on this planet. And also, no one else had to deal with not getting reparations.
Mm-hmm. And now, my thing is that, anytime you look at Haiti, okay, you look at anytime Black people were supposed to be paid reparations, it's a big problem. It's a big problem. Like CJ said, you know what? The Jews got paid their reparations with no problem. Okay? The United States paid reparations to the Japanese for putting them in internment camp, basically concentration camps during the Second World War. Nobody spoke up about that. Nobody had a problem with that. But whenever it comes to paying reparations to Black people, there's a big problem. And it's got to stop. Like CJ said, what was done to us has not been done to any other race in the history of the world. They've robbed everything from us. And when I say everything, they took our names, they took our culture, they took our inventions. If you listen to these racist people, they be like, oh, the white person invented this, the white person invented that. Look, I even question Eli Whitney inventing the cotton gin. Okay? And let's just think logically for a minute here. Okay? Mm-hmm. What was his incentive to invent the cotton gin when you had niggas picking cotton for you? He had no incentive for it. He wasn't out there getting his fingers all cut up and torn up and because a lot of people don't realize they show pictures of people picking cotton, just taking the cotton off of the bush and putting it in the bag. No, cotton was surrounded by almost like a hard shell. Slaves were literally coming out of the fields with bloody hands every single day from picking cotton because they got to pull the cotton away from the shell, and the shell had sharp edges. So Eli Whitney had no incentive to invent the cotton gin. You know who invented it? It had to be a slave because he's in the field every day. He's like, yo, there got to be a better way to do this. I'm getting my fingers fucked up every single day doing this. So the cotton gin, Edison and the filament, that filament was created by a black man. But because black people had no say so, black people had no power, he couldn't lay claim to that. Edison stole it from him. But these white racists, white people invented this, white people invented that. If you look at it, look at the greatest inventive times in our history was during slavery. Because slaves were creative enough to come up with ways that were making it easier for them. We were the ones doing all the work. We were the ones doing all the work. If I'm doing all the work, why should you? What gives you the incentive to create?
Right. But you know what? See, I want to stay on. I want to stay on track. I want to ask some tough questions because I'm sure white America has these questions. Like we said, we got some haters that left some comments. So why should they pay for reparations? Why should America pay for reparations?
Well, that question to me, the reason why is because number one, there would be no United States, there would be no superpower called the United States without the free slave labor of 500 years. And some would argue that it was even longer than that. Some would argue that it was possibly 8 to 1,000 years, but they just decided to document or possibly allow people to know or think that, slavery only lasted about 300 to 400 years. But like I said before, people don't understand the type of wealth this country has acquired because of what happened so long ago. Not only that, when you think about, how efficient black people were after slavery, we had thriving economic economies. And what's interesting too, a lot of people don't put two and two together. When we look at like the 30s and like 40s and stuff like that, like you can watch like the Harlem Nights, we've got well-dressed people. I mean, tailored clothes, clean streets. Like if you talk to like an elder, they'll tell you how the streets of Harlem is so clean. They'll tell you, the black community that they lived in. I've never had the opportunity to live in a black community. I've lived in black neighborhoods that's populated of majority black, but a community as far as black people owning businesses and me having the ability to go to somebody who looks like me in my neighborhood and find work. The fact that anytime I decide to have a job, I have to go out of my community. I have to ask somebody who looks nothing like me and doesn't have the same experiences that I have in order to make a living. Back in the day after slavery, you didn't have to worry about that. You can go right into your community. You can go to your different like hangout spots, your little listening parties, whatever the case was. And not only that, when you think about how those neighborhoods were destroyed, how our so-called quote unquote black leaders from that time, and even until now, because they still do the same thing. They buy out these black leaders, they put them in position, they give them a little credibility, whether I don't know, maybe they're into a certain music, and I would relate that to Kamala Harris and Tupac. Whether they have certain interests, maybe they play the saxophone or just something very minuscule that has some type of symbolic um, hold on us when it comes to voting. But they buy out these black politicians and then they lead us in the absolute wrong direction. I know a lot of people are going to give me some slack for it, but I'm going to be honest. When you look at the black leaders who suggested integration, that was a detriment to black people. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because number one, we had thriving economic economies. So what they decided to do was, okay, let's integrate them to give the illusion that we're becoming better people, but in reality, we're actually going to drain the black communities. And what we're going to do is we're going to put our businesses in their communities. And guess what? Now they're going to have to come to us in order to sustain life.
Yeah,
nobody puts those things together.
All right, that's really deep. But all right, no, like I said, I want to ask the tough questions. I'm gonna play pretend like white America, and just you guys shoot me or anything like that. All right, so when they say that didn't we after Civil War wasn't blacks paid some form of reparations?
Originally, what happened is that land was designated in Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina, I believe, and the black people actually started moving to those states because they knew that they were going to get their 40 acres and a mule. Mm-hmm. But what happened is not too long after that, Lincoln was assassinated. Yeah. Okay. And I believe Johnson took over. Now, Johnson believed in the old Southern tradition. Okay, so he put a stop to that. Okay, and where black people had moved into North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and were claiming their land, once Johnson became president, basically white people said, you know what, let's kick them off. There's nothing stopping us now. Lincoln is dead. So they basically went in and took all the land that black people had claimed.
All right, so let me ask you something. Do you think that assassination was to prevent the reparations from happening?
I think it was not only a thing for reparations, but look, you got to realize how this country has always been monetarily driven. Okay, mm-hmm. Just like, I mean, I'm surprised like people like Elon Musk and stuff like that haven't been assassinated by the Arabs, because when you talk about taking billions and billions of dollars out of somebody's pocket, which is what Elon Musk is doing by pushing this electric car agenda, because we're not going to need oil anymore. That's where a lot of the Arabs get their wealth. Oil is going to become worthless. When you're talking about taking money out of somebody's pocket, they're going to get rid of you. Point blank. And that's what they did to Lincoln. All that free labor, and the thing about it is people don't notice that, during that time when there was the mass exodus from the southern states to the northern states, once white people in the southern states saw that there was this mass exodus of black people to the northern states where they could get better paying jobs and everything, they was like, we can't lose all this free labor. And then that's when you saw the rise of the jail system. Okay, that's when you saw black people just being thrown in jail for 14, 15 years because they stole a loaf of bread. And they were doing crazy crooked stuff too. They would shut down the bus system because really buses and trains was the only way that black people could get from the south to the north. So some states, they even made it illegal for black people to get on the trains. Fuck the Jim Crow laws. They just said, no, you can't ride on the train. You can't ride on the buses. So how you going to get from the south to the north? So again, they held black people back from coming up north, making money, creating wealth for their whole families. Yeah, you damn right. Reparations need to be repaid.
All right, let me ask this though: has there ever been a program of reparations that has worked?
Yes, but not for black people.
Right. That's why I wanted to go in. So that's why I said that. Has there ever been a program for reparations that worked?
No.
Not for black people, but for what? I just want you to, tell the people.
No, like I said earlier,
who has it worked for?
The Japanese got paid reparations. Mm-hmm. The Jews got paid reparations for the Holocaust. Okay, and those reparations again don't come into play without other governments. So this is not just reparations from Germany, but other countries had to back the paying of the reparations. Okay, just like other countries had to back the paying of reparations to the Japanese for what the United States did to them during World War II. But the only people that have a problem getting paid their reparations are people of color.
this is how I look at it. So, as Reef from the Real and Unapologetic podcast and being unapologetic Reef, I look at it like this: do things need to be repaired? Do they need to be repaid? And yes, I agree. But do we need to wait as a people? No. We don't need to wait on anyone to help us. And so what needs to be repaired, and that's why I'm gonna change that word, saying repaid. Being that the topic is about us being repaid, I think we need to we need to repair our mindsets and our mentalities, like we talked about on episode 29, because this is a country that they don't like our kind, just to put it like that. And I'm just being real when I say it like that. And I'm just going to keep it simple. They don't like our kind because we, like you said, we help build this. They don't feel they owe us anything. And that's how they can keep all their wealth and stay ahead, because if they had to pay us, then they would they would lose value. You know what I mean? So they would lose some value, and they will also lose respect. So they have to keep us. I mean, somebody has to be at the bottom. And it's sad to say, Black Americans were chosen to be at the bottom. We're at the bottom to help this country, to help the world continue to go. And because everybody uses the Blacks, including the Japanese, including the Chinese, including, France. I mean, everybody uses the Blacks when it comes to, the designer handbags and stuff and all these things that we buy. When it comes to their hair and the nails, we're in those nail salons. You know what I mean? For the Koreans, and the Chinese restaurants are in our neighborhoods. 6, 7 of them are in our neighborhoods. We are buying their food. So everybody uses us to stay afloat. When I say we need to be repaid, when I say it, so for repayment for me is to see us come together as a people, to see us repair instead of being repaid. Let's look at the word repair and repair our mindsets and our mentalities and build together and create a nation, not a community. We need to create a nation within a nation. And that means across the country, everyone to be a part of this, to see any changes. And that's how I believe we'll get our reparations. Because right now, it's like the cheese on a mouse trap for us. We're the mice. You put the cheese on a mice trap, but there's always a trap there. So even if they did pay us, it'll be some type of sucker punch in the end. You know what I mean? So, and I believe that we have to change our mindset of thinking that we expect. We have to lose hope for it. Should we have expectations? No, because expectations brings discouragement. It brings discouragement, and this is what leads us to feeling the way we do as a people as a whole, and that's why we're unhealthy, and that's why mental illness is this year where everybody's, hey, mental illness is real. Yeah, you know where the mental illness comes from? From believing in a people who freaking hate you, who don't like your kind. So we got to stop believing in. And I'm not. It's not all white Americans. You know what I mean? Some just got thrown into this, like we got thrown into it. You know what I mean? So not everybody is a part of, hating Black America. Nah, not everybody. Because I know some good, like I said, I have partnerships with white Americans who are really good people who look out, and I'm a Black, DITW, and we're a Black owned business. We're thriving, we're growing. We need to repair our mindsets, and we need to get away from looking for repayment. And I'm not against it. Like I said, if it happens, it happens. But I don't think we need to have hope in that. I think we need to have hope in us, our people, us as a people, and build our nation. Those are my thoughts on it.
And I had said something at the end of one of our shows, and I said I was going to expound on it on a later date. And this seems like a good time to bring it back up. Okay. But I said at the end of one of our episodes, hey, my people, stop participating in your own oppression.
Right.
That's what we do. When we do all of that BS stuff and support other businesses besides our own businesses,
Right.
that's us participating in our own oppression. It's not helping us by going out and buying Gucci. Is Gucci helping our neighborhoods? Is Gucci helping our communities? No. You know, all these is Nike helping our communities? Then you know what? They got a lot of black. They pay a lot of black people who are in the NBA and who are stars and whatnot. But is it helping our community? No. We're participating in our own oppression every single day, and until we stop that, they're going to continue to take advantage of it. You know, until we make a stand and say, you know what? I'm not buying. We not buying Nike no more. No black people should buy Nike no more. You know what? Nike's gonna keep, as long as we don't do that. Nike's gonna keep shilling their sneakers to us, making it more appealing to us. But when we start saying, "Look, we're not buying this no more. We're making our own sneakers," and not only that, we have to hold our own people accountable. If we're going to do something like that, we gotta hold our own people accountable. If I see you outside and I'm walking down the street and I see you in a Nike store as a black man, and we got a moratorium on buying on black people buying Nikes, and I see your ass in the Nike store picking up sneakers, I should have the right to bust your ass. Seriously, that's the attitude that we got to take. You know, you look at what country was that? Was it Thailand? Where they decided they were going to get drugs out of their countries. It's harsh measurements that have to be taken. When Thailand decided when they decided they needed to get opium and opium addiction out of the country, you know what they did? They said anybody caught selling opium, anybody caught using opium is being killed on the spot. No trials, no nothing. This is bringing down our country. All these people addicted to opium. If you use opium, if you get caught selling opium, if you get caught carrying opium, you are being killed on the spot. So harsh measures need to be taken, and unless we're willing to take those harsh measures, we're just going to sit here in the same space that we've always been, last place.
What was the question?
Basically, I said that instead of being repaid, we need to do some repairing.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you think we need to repair our mindsets, our mentality?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, reparations wouldn't work unless you get mental reparations. I do believe in that. But at the same time, and this is a common argument that, I run into with other black folks. What black folks need to stop doing is we have to stop measuring ourselves by the degenerates in our culture, because the thing is that the media, society, and sometimes us, we highlight the worst in us more than the best of us.
Right.
Okay? We are not prone to be violent. We are not prone to be criminals. We are not prone to do things that are harm ourselves or our communities. But the thing is that we are sometimes looked at as criminals or people who are degenerates in culture because the media decides to highlight the worst in us. There is a lot more mentally healthy black people. There are a lot more black people who want to do right than there are not. And that's an argument to nail on the head because, like I said, people, and because of society, they sometimes highlight the worst in us when actuality there are a lot of good black people. Okay. And then the other thing about reparations, and I do apologize for the noise, me being on here was unexpected, but when it comes to politics, the way you can measure whether somebody will be good for black people politically is to see if they are willing to give black people the necessary things that they need or that we need to thrive. Okay. And I'm going to be quite honest with you. Okay. I'm going to be quite honest with you. That's needed. The money is needed. It's very needed. Okay. Because when you look at the racial totem pole when it comes to the United States, okay, some people argue you got Asians and white, or it can be white and Asian. Then you have Latinos, and then you'll have black people at the bottom. And the thing is that when you create policies, right? When politicians create policies and they say things like people of color or marginalized group of people or disenfranchised people, the thing is what you're doing, excuse me, what you're doing when you put a policy like that in places, you're giving money to every racial group, but that doesn't help the people at the bottom, which is black folks, because when you give everybody something, yes, everybody does go up, but guess what? Nobody moves. Black people still stay at the bottom, got Latinos, and then you got Asians, and then you got white people. So when you look at politicians and you're looking at their policy, we have to make sure that they are specific to us. It has to be Black Americans, or I like to use the term foundational Black Americans, because the thing about when you use African American, if a white person is from South Africa and they come to this country, guess what? They're considered African American and they will also get reparations. So I say that to say
Right.
we need something specific for us, and it has to be financial. Because, like I said on episode 19, by 2050 we have a median net worth of zero. And I also want to say something else that's going to be quite shocking to people. Okay, we are heading back to chattel slavery, and I'm dead ass. Okay, people don't realize we are in a worse position than we were after slavery, and I'm gonna tell you about that. I'm gonna prove my point. Number one, I'm gonna go back to the thriving Black economic economy that we had. We don't have that anymore. We had the ability to go within our own communities and have businesses. We don't have that anymore. Also, too, you have to understand we were enslaved. Okay, we were insured, and we were insured by the insurance companies. So people can just come up to us willy-nilly and just kill slaves. You can do that. Why? Because we're considered property. We are not considered property anymore. So guess what? Anybody can do anything they want to us, and nothing will happen. Do you see that?
Yeah,
Right.
I think I talked about that on one of the other shows. I said they still consider us property, and I said, and you look at it like when what did I say, Reef? Yeah, we're like pet dogs.
Pet dogs, right, on episode 26.
Yeah, we're like pet dogs. You know, you control everything about your dog's life. You control when he eats. You control where he sleeps. You control when he goes to the bathroom. You control all of that. But then once he bares your teeth and starts trying to get his doggy rights, what do? You bust his ass, or you put him out, or you throw him away and get another dog. That's how they look at it.
Absolutely. You know what? I want to finish my point to prove my point. Also, too, what you also have to look at is that when it comes to Black people being harmed by police, Black folks could barely get people fired who kill us. Think about that. Black folks can barely get people fired who kill us. We have no Black communities. There are other racial groups and other people's businesses within our community, so we have to go to someone. Okay. Not only that, did you hear about the critical race theory? They're literally trying to erase the history of slavery because it's an inconvenience for people who don't look like us. Think about that. That's crazy. So number one, you can't get someone fired because they're trying to scrub the fact that you were enslaved. They refuse to give you any reparations. Okay, it already says in the Constitution, slavery is illegal unless you commit a crime. So everyone in jail are slaves. Okay, mass incarceration is still going on. Okay, and like I said before, chattel slavery is on the verge to being back in existence in public again. And I'm dead ass.
Hey,
And
CJ,
it's something we have to do something now, immediately.
I'm
And
with you.
if it's not something visible, it has to be financial to get us out of the situation.
I agree. Let me ask you something though. Are you familiar with the bill HR 40?
Yes, it's a bill to give a group of people to discuss the possibility of studying reparations.
Studying.
That's what that is. That's a nothing burger, and that's disrespectful.
Right. You think it's disrespectful?
It is disrespectful.
Yeah, I'm not.
Now, hold on one second. You want to pass a bill
Right.
to find a group of people to discuss the possibilities of thinking about reparations?
Right. I agree with you, but let me ask you something. You don't think that discussion is worth it? Just having that discussion or whatever, even if they bring that bill and they pass that bill, just so the discussion is brought up. Because what about the kids that are coming up now that have really no clue because they don't teach slavery in schools?
Biden had no problem giving them privileges and certain benefits.
Right.
He had no problem doing that.
Right. I agree.
They didn't take the time to study that.
I agree. I'm not against you. I'm asking you a question so that people that don't know, I'm asking you these questions so you can answer them for the people that don't know. You know what I mean? So these kids don't know anything about it. So maybe this bill needs to be passed so then that way they can look into it and
Hold on, CJ. You just spoke for a minute now. Come on. But I agree with CJ. You're talking about a bill that's exploring the idea of whether or not we should explore whether there should be reparations. HR 40, the only real bill that needs to be passed is how much and when. That's
how much and when. I'm with you on it. I gotta ask these questions because people are going to ask these questions and they want to know. So I have to say this. These are the things I told you. I'm playing the card. I'm a white American right now. I'm white American.
And you know what, Shay? I want to answer your question. Because
right. Answer, yeah.
You're a little bit confused on what the HR 40 bill is. It's not to talk about slavery in schools or in society. It's to talk about the possibility of allocating resources of Black people within those people that were suggested to talk about it. That conversation is not going anywhere outside of the White House or wherever they have conversations about that. So, like we have conversations like that all the time. There's a slave movie that comes out every year. You know, everybody knows, or a large percentage of Black folks know about, Harriet Tubman and people like that. Like it's not a conversation that we have in society or school. It's a conversation had between the people who are going to decide to give us what we're asking for or not. So that's why
I'm with you. No, listen, I'm with you. All I'm doing, I'm asking the questions because white America are going to ask these questions. And I'm going to say this because they don't know. So they think when they see things and, they have no clue on it, they're going to say, hey, aren't we doing that already? Or aren't they going to try to pass this bill? And so they don't dig into things when it comes to our people because they're not of us. So they don't really care. So they're going to see something. They'll see a title, read the title, but they'll never read the book and they'll never go and dig into it to learn about us and what we've gone through. You know what I mean? So I gotta say this. And you know what I mean? So like, I agree with both you guys. This is the real unapologetic, but at the same time, we're going to have viewers and listeners and people who listen who are going to disagree. But I wanted to ask those questions. So then that way you guys can answer them and then it'll help them leave more hateful comments or positive comments. And that's what I want. You know what I mean? That's what I'm hungry for. And, I don't have no anger in me, man. This is why I said at the end of the day, I think we need to repair our mentalities because we don't need to live in anger. And this is just only my thoughts. These are my thoughts. We don't need to live in anger because anger keeps you still. Anger is heavy. Anger is a pain that you have to get over. We have to get over. And did they do us wrong? We already fucking know that. I know that. You know that. But to stay there and to live in it is not what I want my people to do. What I want us to do is to continue to build and grow and build something while we're here and not think about the past. And when that time does come and we can confront it at that time and we can say, all right, cut our check. That's it. But to live in it, in the pain, I don't want our people living in pain, arguing, staying hateful, because that's what slows you down. White America, Japanese, Chinese, they don't sit there and worry about this shit. That's why they got a check cut for them, because they don't sit there and they're not in pain. They don't worry about it. Oh, we went through something, cut us a check. We need to keep fighting and keep pushing. And then when that time comes, we'll confront it and we'll gladly take the check. But we don't need to stay there. And that's just how I close. We don't need to stay in that pain. We need to repair ourselves.
Yeah, man. I just want to quickly ask you this question, because I always hear that a lot, that you're just so angry and you just Just
No, I'm
angry.
not saying. Listen, I'm not
No,
saying that we're angry. I'm not saying
no,
that.
no, you said living in pain. You don't want to be angry. I may be paraphrasing what you said, but I'm just trying to quickly get to my
Yeah,
point.
go ahead.
I just want to ask you, like, who is upset? Who is in pain? Who is in anger? Because like I'm perfectly fine. Just give
No,
me my money and we good.
that's what
Like
I'm talking
that's all
about.
I'm saying. Like
That's what I'm
I'm not
saying.
angry. Listen, I just want to say I'm not angry. I don't know anybody that's angry. Everybody understands the reality of the situation and their experience. Cut the check. I'm good. My emotions is tired. Not
Right. But that's
angry.
not everybody. See, that's CJ. That's
Hold on.
me,
Just
you,
do, no,
see on
no,
here.
hold on,
That's
hold
not
on. Listen.
everybody.
Just do me like you've done everybody else. That's all I'm saying. And
Right.
again, from what you just said, that goes back to my point. We cannot highlight the degenerates in our culture and allow that to be the face of us.
That's
Because
not the face
again,
of us. No.
yeah, and I agree with you, but you just said the opposite. What I'm
Listen, I believe in helping everyone, man. I'm that person. I'm gonna help everybody, man. I'm here. I want to teach everybody, reach one, teach one. I want to be the guy, and I want all of us to do the same thing, because if we continue to help and build each other, those degenerates will no longer be degenerates. We don't want anybody last. We don't want anybody on the bottom. We want to strengthen, just like Chinese do, Japanese do, France, everybody else is, they help their people. Just like C said about Thailand, they help their people. We need to help our people. We can't say, hey, leave them down here. No, we have to talk to them and educate them to get them out of that mindset. We have to change those mindsets, because that's who everybody's looking at. And that's why they keep going, thumbs down. Let's not do it right now, because they're looking at them. So we need to teach. We need to teach. We can't leave them.
saying?
We can't leave them behind. Nobody should be
I
left behind.
I hear you, but the
Now,
degenerates are used as an excuse, and I'll leave it at that.
I get it. I get it. I'm with you. I'm with it. I agree with that. Yeah.
now
They're
also,
used as an excuse to give us what we're. They're used as an excuse so that they choose not to give
Not
us
to.
what we
Right.
want.
I got you. I'm with it. I'm with it.
okay, and also on Real and Unapologetic, we talk about problems, but we also try and come up with solutions to the problem.
Right.
So, everybody's all up in arms about the reparations and how much it should be. You know what? To me, it's simple. Okay? There's two ways that this can be done very simply. Okay? Number one, you got a lot of these old cotton companies, you got a lot of these old tobacco companies that we put off all that free labor to. Okay? What we can do, because there's a record of it. Eventually, over time, all of these companies merged into these huge conglomerates that you read about every single day that are continuously making billions and billions and billions of dollars. So, simple solution. People write in, send us comments, tell us what you think about it. But my solution to the problem is, you know what? We were held in slavery for over 400 years. So, you know what? Black people, for the next 400 years, we don't pay no taxes, but to make up the tax deficit from us, the black people not paying taxes, those companies who emerged over time, who were the cotton companies, the tobacco companies, who became this huge conglomerate, step up and make them pay their taxes, make them pay our taxes for the next 400 years. They're making billions and billions and trillions of dollars. If you add up what they make every year, you know what? It could be done. It's a simple solution. Black people pay no taxes for as long as we were held in slavery and for as long as we were oppressed, which is up until this day. So for 500, 600 years, generations of black people don't pay any taxes for the United States, and the businesses that were created and the businesses that grew from the use of chattel slavery and the free labor, they got to step up and pay what we're not paying. Simple.
I'm
And
with that. That sounds good. Right.
And the United States government got to chip in too, because they allowed it to go on.
Go on. Right.
Okay, yeah. So the one last thing that I wanted to mention, especially regarding black folks in slavery, is we need to understand that we are indigenous to this land. I know a lot of people assume or think because of what the history books, the alleged history books, that said, oh, it was, the whites Philippines who were indigenous to this land and the land was stolen from them. But in actuality, when you look at history, when you look at a lot of credible history, you would find out that the people who were indigenous to this land are actually the dark-skinned Indians, Black Indians that
Mm-hmm.
were here. Okay, and what I want people to look into is it's a fellow by the name of Walter Fletcher. Walter Fletcher is responsible for possibly the most historic paper genocide of all time. See, when land was going to be allocated to Indians after the Civil War, I believe, what he did was he was responsible for what's called the Dawes Rolls, and the Dawes Rolls was basically this form that you would have to fill out, and in that would allow Indians to get land that was stolen from them. But the thing about that is anyone who was dark skinned or black skinned or had the African phenotype, he would label them as Negro. And the thing about that is that you had something called the $5 Indian, where white people would claim Indian, and all they had to do was just pay $5 under the table, and they would be allocated land.
Mm.
Yep.
So I want everybody to look up a fellow named Walter Fletcher in the Dawes Road and look into that. So not only do we need reparations, but we also need to understand that we are indigenous to this land. This is our country. But they led us to believe that we were someplace far across the Atlantic, so we can never look at the gold that's right underneath our feet. And that's all I have to
Deep.
say.
Nah, that's deep. That's real, man. All right, yeah. Listen, guys, we coming to the end, man. This was a great show. I hope everybody that was listening and watching and viewing this, enjoyed it and subscribe to our channel, The Real You Podcast, The Real and Unapologetic Podcast, and like the video. Leave comments. I don't care what the comments say. Just leave a comment. You know what I mean? Make sure you ring that little bell that's up there, how you subscribe, and the comment box is below the video. And like I said, man, today you had on CJ, which everybody loves. You had the Real C, and you had me, Unapologetic Reef, man. We signing off.
Peace.
New York City. New York City.
Yo, that's everybody. I love it, man.